Let's start with the oldest of the five and work our way towards the most recent mass extinction. Number 5, the Andromedician extinction. 444 million years ago, the world looked very different. The planet didn't have trees, plants, or animals on land, and Earth looked something like
We were
this,
just flat.
which is clearly wrong and not
land.
where they were supposed to be. But inside the ocean, it was a different story.
SpongeBob.
Could I tickle you until you scream?
Huh?
Could I tickle you until you scream?
Was packed with species
Jellyfish.
and thriving. During this time, most of the marine life lived in warm, shallow seas. Here are some of the animals you could expect to see during this time period: trilobites, brachiopods, bryozoans, crinoids, and nautilus, just
Nautilus,
to
I
name a
know.
few. And don't bother double checking my pronunciation.
fuck?
I can tell you now, I easily nailed over half of them. But just when these animals began to get comfortable, everything changed.
I like
The
this guy's
coastlines
editing.
where the majority of life existed slowly began to retreat year after year. The winters began to get longer and harsher, and the ice that formed took longer to melt. But eventually, the winters got so severe that the ice stopped melting altogether. The planet went into a severe ice age that lasted anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 years.
We're
You
cooked.
see, the giant continent of Gondwana had
I'm
drifted
gonna pause this. We are at minute 14. But guys, let me know down below. Do you guys believe in the Eskimos? Now, me personally, I believe in it. I'm gonna say I believe in it. But imagine that, guys. Living during the Ice Age period. Everything you know, everything you see is cold, ice, frozen. You gotta fucking fish in frozen water. You gotta build your house out of snow. Like, imagine being in this time period, guys, living through the Ice Age or just things like that. Because, you know, when we go extinct, the world, I'm assuming, will go cold. So any remaining humans will have to live through that cold for who knows how long. Unless, of course, you know, we get extinct by fucking zombies or robot AI and shit. But me personally, I think we're gonna get extinct probably from like a comet, fucking explosion, a sun exploding. I mean, not the sun, a star exploding, or a black hole. You know, there could be a black hole sneaking up on us and we just haven't even detected it. You know what I mean? Me personally, that's how I think we'll go. But yeah, let's get straight into it. Minute and 14.
South Pole, and when snow fell onto the land combined with the Earth's cooling, the snow didn't melt. Then year
There could
after
be
year, the
UFOs
snow
in
compressed into
Antarctica.
large glaciers, which would otherwise have flowed into the ocean, lowering sea levels. The very few life forms that survived the Ice Age eventually adapted to the new climate and began to thrive once again. But just when they began to get comfortable, you guessed it, everything changed. Temperatures began to rise, ice melted, sea levels rose, and the oceans became low in oxygen, leading to another mass extinction of life that was not adapted to the increasing warming climate and changing environment. In the end, around 85% of all marine species on Earth died, making this
Dang.
event the second largest mass extinction in our planet's history. Number 4, the Late Devonian extinction. 360 million years ago, Earth had another massive extinction that changed the planet forever.
Late
During the
Devonian.
Devonian period, Earth was
Oh.
going through many changes. The first true forests appeared and were quickly spreading. Plants were diversifying, and soil formation was increasing like never before, thanks to deep root
Imagine
systems.
seeing that,
At this
guys.
time, Earth looked something like this. Sea levels had risen once again, allowing life to thrive in shallow waters. Let's take a look at some of the strange animals
this
that
crazy,
inhabited the
guys.
seas. Now, obviously, I could just show you the fossilized remains of these animals and move on.
okay.
But don't forget, I'm one of the most historically accurate artists of the 21st century. So I might as well show you what these animals really look like. Dunkleosteus was a large armored fish that was
That is
among the
one of
top
my
predators.
favorite dinosaurs.
Titanichthys was one of the first filter-feeding fish. The
shit.
Cladosolaki was regarded as one of the first true sharks. Eurypterid, also known as sea scorpions. I don't have a fact for that one, but I just thought they were really cool. Then, of course, there were the boring animals like brachiopods and trilobites, among many others. But perhaps the more interesting animals were those that were briefly exiting the ocean and waddling onto land. Animals like the Tiktaalik, Acanthostega, and Ichthyostega. But the good times
Those
couldn't
dinosaurs
last
are cool,
forever.
the ones that
As
look like
forests spread across the
salamanders and
land,
shit.
trees began to pull large amounts of CO2 out of the air, cooling the planet. The trees deep
We're at 329, guys. This off track, but I do want to say that I recently downloaded the Jurassic World game. Now I used to play that shit heavily back when I was like 11 and 12 and shit. And you know, I decided to make an account, whatever. Now, re-downloaded it, re-logged in, and I'm building shit. And I'm getting all these fucking crazy dinosaurs, all these fucking squids and shit, but that just reminded me of it. But guys, that, in my opinion, is one of the best fucking dinosaurs. The name you said, the Dunkla or some shit, one of the best dinosaurs. I don't care what you guys say. That thing is a armored cave dweller with, doesn't even have teeth. It's just like, just straight rock teeth, like, insane. That, right, Megalodon definitely up there, you know. I don't care. Definitely is real at one point. That's definitely up there. Then we got probably, let's see. I do like, I don't know, I like a lot of the aquatic ones. I don't think about it. But I like that shark where the mouth was fucking wrapped up like a fruit roll up and the teeth would go around it. I'd hate to be that shark. That probably looks so painful and weird. Imagine your mouth doing that, just sticking out and rolling up. But those are probably in my top 5 of best dinosaurs.
Intricate root systems expanded, breaking down rock and soil. Rain carried those
The
nutrients
Spinosaurus
into
and the
rivers and
T-Rex,
finally into the
overrated.
ocean.
I
The
don't
extra
care.
nutrients caused massive algae blooms, using up the oxygen in the water and creating large dead zones where animals could no longer survive, essentially suffocating them. Around 75% of all species went extinct. Number 3, the Permian Triassic extinction. 250 million years ago, Earth finally became interesting. Gone were the times of ocean bugs and silly looking fish, and we finally got something that is actually fun to draw. The Permian period was awesome. The oceans were teeming with life, and the long awaited land expansion was finally released, allowing hundreds of animals to roam across it. This is what the planet looked like during this time period. Nearly all land joined forces to create Pangaea, a supercontinent. The weather was
This the
hot,
dinosaurs I
dry,
think we
and got
know.
more unbearable the further you went into the continent. The oceans were full
Imagine
of
that,
life and contained
one
all the
big
usual
piece of land.
suspects: brachiopods, ammonoids, crinoids, reefs, trilobites, cartilaginous fish, ray fin fish, and lobe fin
Looks like a
fish,
barracuda.
just to name a few. Land was now
So they had,
completely
horseshoe
different from the
crabs
last
and all
time we
that,
saw it. It was
different
covered in
variants
trees, plants,
back
and
then.
moss, and full of large and dangerous animals. Animals like the Dimetrodon, a large apex predator, Gorgonopsians,
hard.
a saber-toothed apex predator, Dicynodonts, a tank build that was just funny to look at. Then there were the first
I'm gonna
early
put pictures up on
Therapsids,
screen.
reptiles, and insects. It seemed like the circle of life was getting back on track, but just as the competition was heating up, so would the planet. Well, even more than it already was. Volcanoes in the Siberian region began to erupt, releasing large amounts of CO2, methane, and toxic
Dang.
gases. These eruptions continued for hundreds of thousands of years.
gonna cover
This
all the
enormous
oxygen
amount
and
of
they're gonna die and
CO2 trapped
suffocate.
heat in the atmosphere, heating the entire planet another 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. The planet became much drier.
They were in a
Oxygen
stove.
levels
The
dropped in the
planet was a
oceans
stove.
once again, and entire ecosystems collapsed, turning the planet into a hellish oven. Around 90 to 96% of all marine life and around 70% of all land vertebrae went extinct, making this the largest mass extinction in our planet's history. It has even been referred to as the Great Dying. Number 2, the Triassic-Jurassic extinction. Finally, we get to the time periods we all care about. After the end Permian extinction came the Triassic period, a time
Oh, yeah, guys. I've been, reading up on this type of stuff recently, but, I always thought, like, most of the dinosaurs were all hanging out together, right? But no. There was different periods with different dinosaurs, like the Spinosaurus and the T-Rex never even knew each other existed because they were in different periods of time, which is crazy to think of, because if you watch Jurassic Park, they have certain dinosaurs with certain dinosaurs, which never even happened. Like, I'm pretty sure the Velociraptor is one of them. The Velociraptor wasn't even hanging out with, like, certain dinosaurs. Like Jurassic Park, they make them, with the T-Rex, they make them everybody. But yeah, it's crazy to think, you know what I mean? So yeah, some dinosaurs were during certain periods of time, which is crazy. I wonder if this is the one where like tar was everywhere, because I know tar, played a big part. I would hate to be in that.
Of recovery and new beginnings that would completely reshape the planet forever. Earth's land still consisted of the single large continent Pangaea and was surrounded by Panthalassa, a mega ocean. The planet was still very warm and the majority of the land was covered in large deserts. Out in and near the oceans is where life thrived. Large trees and plants emerged near river valleys, and dry climate plants spread across harsher, hotter lands. Many apex predators began to emerge and take over entire ecosystems. Animals like the Listosaurus, a small pig-sized herbivore. Then there was one of the earliest known dinosaurs, Coelophysis, a medium-sized carnivore that grew to enormous numbers. And just by looking at them, you could just tell they were annoying. One of the most terrifying animals to emerge was the Postosuchus,
I know this
a
dinosaur.
large crocodile-like predator
one.
with enormous jaws.
I have this in
During this
game
time
I'm
was
playing
when
right
the first true mammals began to appear. In the oceans, marine life was also diversifying, and the first animals that somewhat resemble today's creatures began to emerge. Animals like the ichthyosaur,
I
a
know that
marine
one.
reptile
It's like a
resembling
dolphin. Yep.
dolphins. Just, way more terrifying. Then there was also Nothosaurus, which was last spotted in 1933 in Scotland. Then, of course, towards the end of the Triassic period, thousands of other marine species had emerged. The Triassic
His
period
drawings are
lasted
funny.
over 50 million years, but eventually the continent of Pangaea began to be torn apart. Enormous volcanic eruptions occurred that lasted up to 1 million years.
Damn,
And
is
just
that a
like the
Diglett
mass
in the
extinction
background?
before, these eruptions heated the planet, starved many parts of the ocean of oxygen, and led to the extinction of around 75% of all species. But even in this nightmare landscape, a small group managed to survive. A relatively small, non-dominant creature who witnessed its larger, stronger competition slowly die off and become extinct. And in this power vacuum, the once insignificant creature rose and went on to dominate the planet for the next 135
Cockroaches.
million years. It was now the time of the dinosaurs.
I don't know if you guys know that cockroaches. We got a fucking ad. Cockroaches have been around. Cockroaches have been around since the dinosaur times. The motherfuckers was living in the ground. Probably had tunnels, they were probably like big ass disgusting ants. So that's why cockroaches are so hard to kill, so annoying. And to believe it or not, when we go extinct, cockroaches are still gonna be here, guys. So yep. Shout out cockroaches, probably the #1 most annoying animal, let's say. Besides mosquito. Mosquitoes are pretty bad too, but yeah, guys, that's a fun fact.
Number 1, Cretaceous
Number one,
Paleogene
number one.
extinction. Soon
Oh,
after
let's
the
see, I'm
Triassic
excited.
extinction, small dinosaurs like the Coelophysis, Dilophosaurus, and Plateosaurus began to take over the planet. Scientists believe these creatures survived thanks to their upright posture, efficient lungs, and their ability to
Damn.
withstand heat and droughts. During the Jurassic period, the dinosaurs had
Crazy.
solidified themselves as the most dominant animal on the planet.
I just realized
With large
this is
amounts
the
of
first
food
educational
available, they
video
quickly
on this channel.
diversified. Many grew to enormous sizes and evolved. Some didn't. Scientists estimate that there could have been as many as 10,000 species of dinosaurs roaming the planet. Here are some of the most notable ones just so you can get an idea of who the star players were. There were the apex predators like the Tyrannosaurus, Spinosaurus,
Apex
and
predator.
Allosaurus. Then of course you had your giant
Y'all been playing
herbivores
Apex
like
recently?
Brachiosaurus,
'Cause I
Diplodocus,
play
and
Apex all
Triceratops.
day, every day.
Then you had the dinosaurs that were just there for comedic relief, like the Suchosaurus and the Pegomastax. This is also when
Y'all
the
let me know
first
for
birds
real.
appeared. Going
guys
into the
like the new
Cretaceous
Apex
period,
season?
dinosaurs had adapted and flourished in
Well, it's been like
forests,
20 days. Let
plains,
the season
coastal
kick off, but-
environments, and oceans. New flowering plants also encouraged insects to heavily diversify. But as we all know, these times wouldn't last. And eventually, everything would change in the blink of an eye. One day, a day just like the
meteor.
millions of days before it, over what is now the Yucatan Peninsula
Rest
in
in peace to all the
Mexico, what
dinosaurs.
looked like a small glowing star appeared in the sky. Not
Imagine
a
being a
single
dinosaur.
animal on the planet knew of its existence or had any idea it was even there.
You look up
A
and
few
you just see
moments
this
later,
big
that
ass
small
fireball.
glowing pin in the sky quickly grew and became brighter than any other star. And within minutes, it rivaled even the sun. Birds scattered, Dinosaurs lifted their heads and froze in place as they tracked the light that was traveling towards the Earth. The impact of the meteor is unimaginable. It's been described as billions of Hiroshima atomic bombs all exploding simultaneously. All nearby animals were instantly vaporized.
Meteors
Not
are
even their
scary,
bones
guys.
would be left behind. Entire forests were flattened. A massive wall of water over a mile high raced across the ocean and tore through the earth as magnitude 11 earthquakes shook the land. An hour after impact, superheated debris
Because of
began to
this
rain down
is
across the
why
planet,
the map is how
incinerating
it is
anything
now.
it touched. This, combined with the radiant heat
They
pulses,
pushed all the
ignited
land back and
forests,
made
grasslands,
multiple
and anything flammable,
countries.
quickly
'Cause
turning
as
the
we saw
planet into a
during
burning
Pangea,
inferno.
it was
A
one
few
piece
days
of
after
land.
impact, the enormous cloud of vaporized debris, which traveled from the impact site, had covered the entire planet, turning some areas pitch black, while the rest of the planet received minimal light. The fine dust could have remained in the stratosphere for up to 10 years. In that time, photosynthesis completely stopped. With no vegetation growing, for most, life on Earth was all but impossible. Around 75% of all life on Earth went extinct. In the end, it's pretty mind-boggling when you sit back and think that humans have only been on the planet for around 300,000 years. Yet, dinosaurs walked and ruled the planet for over 164 million years.
Holy shit. Wow. See? This is what they don't be teaching in school, guys. That is crazy as fuck. We've literally only probably lived like 1% of a dinosaur's like time span that they lived. That is crazy. Shout out to the dinosaurs. They were probably, I'm gonna assume, the longest living mammal, because yeah, they've been here that long. I don't think no other animal or being has been here that long, and if so, nobody was around to witness it. But yeah, guys, let's get straight to the other video. Hopefully this video wasn't too buns. Like, sub, comment, all of that. Yeah. Peace out, stay faded, stay hydrated.